This is your full guide to building a product. Now I can say that as an operator, which is somebody who helps creators in scaling their business, reducing churn when they have a subscription-based business model, and optimizing everything inside so that people stay for longer, so that people are more likely to buy the product, doing all of those things, I can say that the product is still the most important thing in regards to the entire business. I do these things so that creators can focus on improving the quality of the product and so that they can help their customers get results. And I can implement all of these things. But if the product is bad and it doesn't deliver results, then it doesn't matter how many things I implement or what I do to try and scale or reduce churn. I will not be able to keep your members from leaving, or I will not be able to aggressively scale your product as long as it's a bad product. So that's something I want to make very clear first. The product is still the most important part of the business. Then let's look at building trust. So before we have a product, we have to build trust with our audience. Now the first thing I want to say is that you should buy my cooking course. I have a link in the description where you can buy my cooking course. So you should probably go there and buy it. Makes no sense, right? Because that's not the topic of this video. I don't make cooking content. You don't even know if I'm good at cooking. So what did I ever teach you about cooking? You could ask yourself these questions, but this is the approach I see many creators take. So you have to build trust with your audience first. I don't make cooking content, so I'm not actually selling you a course on cooking. You have to try to provide as much value as possible and prove to your audience that you are capable of helping them solve their problems before you actually pitch a product. And so how would I go about doing this if I was actually trying to sell a cooking course? Well, first, I would give away something for free with no strings attached. Then I would create my product, and then I would tell my audience about that product. So I'd go like this. I made a cooking book that you can download. Then I'd collect the email addresses, but I wouldn't send anything yet, no. First I would create my product, and then I would send one mail. Hey, remember the cooking book you got for me? Well, I have something else you can buy. Now imagine that this cooking book got you the best recipes. The food in there was absolutely amazing. Would you not be more inclined to buy my product if I already gave you results for free? Of course you would be. Now imagine what happens when you use all of these things, all of these systems to scale and reduce churn and optimize everything inside of your business and added that onto a great product. Imagine the amount of money you would make. So let's look at the next thing, because this is something I see a lot of people have confusion about. Should I sell high or low tickets? Well, if you're asking that question, you're already asking the wrong question before you start, because people look at it, okay, I'm selling either high or low, but this isn't a binary. It's more like a scale. You have to put yourself on a scale and look at the worth of your product and how much it costs you. And that's how you determine it. So let's determine it together. First, we have to look at the cost to fuel the product. So your upfront cost has to be calculated in. This is your time it takes to create the product. And then the money. If it costs you any money, you have to calculate that into the product. Then we have to look at the cost it takes after. So let's say that you have to do more research and you have to give calls to your customers and update the product. And you also have to pay money to a team if you have employees, or you are hosting an AI inside of your school community, or you are paying guests to come on and explain things to the people who have bought your product. You can calculate those things inside of your product to find a reasonable price. Next, let's look at the audience, because there's different types of audiences. You have teens who are in debt, but you also have retired managers. And so you have to know that when you're selling a product, your audience might not be able to buy it. That's something you have to keep in mind. Now next is, how niche is your product? You could sell a fitness course, or you could sell a course which helps CEOs in making their employees more productive. Which do you think you can charge a higher price for? The CEO one, of course, because there aren't that many CEOs. And this is a very niche topic, which is very specific knowledge that they will need. That's why you can charge a higher price. Then let's look at the offer. So your offer has to be goal driven. That means it has to point towards a goal that the customer wants to achieve. The customer has to be able to reach that goal in a certain time period. So don't take something that drags on forever, because that's just going to increase churn because people never see an end. So they'll look at it as something they're stuck paying for life, in regards to your subscription, of course. And then finally, make sure that your customers have some security as to the results that they will achieve. Then let's look at what you should do with the course. So you want to orient it around a goal. So your product has to be oriented around a goal, and you have to start from the same starting point as your customer. So if you have a fitness course, then you start as somebody who has no muscles, and you end where they want to be. So you take them from a starting point to the end point, which is where they reach their goal. You want to provide support on each critical spot. So let's say that you are selling an e-commerce community. Inside, you have to follow these steps. So first you need a product, then you need to have Shopify set up, then you need to have your marketing set up, then you have to optimize your marketing, your Shopify page, and then you take them into scaling. Now inside there are also smaller compartments that you also have to provide value on. You have to help them and guide them along the way. For marketing, this could be something like testing the ad creatives. Then let's look at the two different ways you can build a product. The first is built by me, which is built by you, of course. This is where you have complete control over the product before you launch it. This is the way most courses are set up, and this is easy to launch because you are already selling something. So this is just a regular course. Now this is built by me but with you. So what you do is you launch your product that doesn't have anything inside yet, and then you ask your customers what they're struggling with, and that way you build up the roadmap they should follow to reach their goals. But this is the new way, and School makes this very easy. I know this is very good at delivering the results. However, it is harder to launch, especially considering most people wouldn't like to join an empty community. That's why if you can find a way to combine these two, then you will do a great job at selling. Then let's look at how to continue building your product. So inside of your product, you will most likely solve a couple of problems. You have problem 1, problem 2, and problem 3. Now once these problems are solved, a new problem will come up for the customer. This could be problem 1.1 and problem 1.2, and this happens for every problem. And then once those are solved, new problems come up, and you have to keep building on them to make sure that your customers' problems keep getting solved. And that way you can increase the price of your community because the value inside is also increasing and you are spending more time in helping your customers. Then let's look at the editing and presentation aspect of the course. Where do you tend towards in regards to how your content is presented? Is it very educational, or do you add in a lot of entertainment to keep your people engaged? Try to make the courses similar. So if you have a very educational style which doesn't have a lot of flashy things like me, then you keep them in a similar style. If you have entertainment, you can tone it down a bit, but try to make it at least 80% as entertaining as your videos. And then you want to present the information the best way possible. That means that you want to make it so your customer understands the information as well as possible. So if you have to use PowerPoints or Miro boards like me, then you can do that. Just try to make sure that your customer understands the information that you're trying to present to them. If you're still not sure what to do, I'll take you through the process again. You need to find the problem they, your customer, look to you for. So what is the problem your customer faces and how are you helping them? Then you need to create a solution to that problem. Then you want to create the product that they can buy so that their problem gets solved. Then you want to launch the product and then use the feedback you get from your customers to improve your product. And that's really all you have to do. Don't worry about all this stuff too much. If you follow this guide, then you are able to make a very great product. It just depends on how much effort and time you are willing to put in to creating such a great product. So, remember what I said in the beginning of this video. Your product is the most important thing. I can do all of this for you, but if your product is bad, then you will still barely make any money. If this video was helpful, then like and subscribe. And if you are a content creator and you want me to help you in creating and scaling your info product, or you just want to know why I make these videos, then click the first link in the description.